Yeah, my name is JiHai. I'm quite happy to be invited to join this conference to share my experience on DevOps. Today, the topic is implementation of DevSecOps in large global banks. Okay. So here's the content for my presentation. Firstly, I will introduce myself. Next, I will give you some background about DevSecOps. The third one, I will talk about the DevSecOps current status and also the challenge to implement the DevSecOps. The next one, I will also show some like DevSecOps tools, especially for the SAST, DAST, and S. But finally, I will share my experience how to implement the DevSecOps in HSBC Bank, and also how to establish the culture over there. Okay, here's me. So actually, I graduated from Imperial College London as a PhD, probably more than 10 years ago. Yeah, and actually my major was the mobile communications. So it's like the mobile communications. My research was 4G before, but now it's a 5G's world. Now it's all 5G. So yeah, and then when I finished my study and started to work in the banks, such as like RBS, UBS, Barclays, and HSBC. So I started to work on DevOps work in Barclays since 2012, and then joined HSBC in 2016, and transferred to China office, from London office to China office in 2018, and started to lead the DevOps transformation in China. At the end of last year, I started to join Tencent as a senior DevOps architect. So yes, here's my background. Okay, DevSecOps. I believe many people probably know DevOps already. Yeah, but maybe not many people, very few people know what is a DevSecOps. In one word, DevSecOps is the DevOps plus cybersecurity. Yeah. So why we need the cybersecurity in the DevOps? So okay, so let's start from like what is a DevSecOps? Actually, this term was created quite a long time ago. Originally, it was called DevOps-Sec. I heard about that. Probably there are two reasons people change the name to DevSecOps. So the one reason is the short name for the DevOps-Sec is a DOS. There's another network attack called DDoS, so which are very similar to this name. So in order to not to have a duplicate names, people start to change the name to DevSecOps. Another reason I heard about that is the DevOps-Sec. It still follow the traditional way for the cybersecurity, which means we do the dev first, and then operations, and finally, before you release to the production, they do the cybersecurity assessment. So in order to have something new, people put the security in the middle, which means the cybersecurity should cover the whole DevOps process. Similar to this figure on this page, it's easy to see, the cybersecurity should cover the whole DevOps process. And the main purpose for DevSecOps is to shift left the cybersecurity to the development areas. Yeah, so very similar to our DevOps, we shift left the testing, we shift left the operations. So for DevSecOps, we shift left the cybersecurity, and it's aimed for everyone. You try to get everyone to respond for the cybersecurity, not only the cybersecurity department. Okay. So now, let's go back to why we need DevSecOps. Why we need to do this, right? Here I use one example. Try to explain why we need the DevSecOps. So there's one figure on the top. That's just one example. It's just one example. So on the top, so we can see there's a traditional development process. So it takes like 3 weeks for the whole development process. Like we gathering the requirements, we do the design, we do the coding, we do the testing. So finally, it's ready to be released to the production. Yeah, and then before we release to the production, it takes like 1 week for the cybersecurity assessment. Yeah. Okay, so by doing the DevOps, we try to reduce the development process by using probably the automations or microservice or agile methodologies, whatever, we try to use different way, to reduce the whole development process. So for example, for the figure in the middle, you can see we reduce 3 weeks into 1 week. So we'll make it faster. Yeah. But the original DevOps, it didn't consider the cybersecurity. So for the cybersecurity assessment, it's still 1 week. So now you can see, it's easy to see the bottleneck for the whole delivery process. Yeah, so it's easy to see the bottleneck. So the whole purpose for DevSecOps now is try to further reduce the whole process, by reducing this period of cybersecurity assessment. Yeah, so like the figure on the third figure. So we try to reduce the cybersecurity assessment to further reduce the whole process to make it faster. Okay, so I think this example, I hope you can easily understand why we need the DevSecOps, from this example. Okay, so next one, let's see the benefit. I think the first one we have talked about this already from this example. By implementing the DevSecOps, it make it faster, making the whole process faster, right? And the second benefit, control risk. What does it mean? Originally, we for the team, they rely on the cybersecurity team or cybersecurity department to do the cybersecurity assessment. Try to find the vulnerabilities, yeah, before you release to the production. But by doing the DevSecOps, the developer and also the tester can also find the vulnerabilities earlier, yeah. So we can see it's under control by under control by the developer and the tester. It's not only rely on the cybersecurity teams. Okay, so the third one is cost saving. What does that mean? So it means when you find these vulnerabilities at later stage, for example, traditionally before release to the production, if you found the vulnerability at this stage, yeah, you have to feedback to developer for developer to fix these vulnerabilities, and then you have to go through the whole process again, yeah. And if you found vulnerabilities again, you have to feedback, fix the problem again, and go through the whole process again. So you can see if you can find the vulnerabilities earlier at early stage, not the late stage. For example, we found the vulnerabilities at the coding stage or at testing stage, and then for developer to fix the problem earlier, then we don't have to go back, right? So this means we can save the cost. Okay, so there's too many benefits. Now I'm only list the 3 key points, key benefits we can get from the DevSecOps. Okay, next one, I will talk about some DevSecOps current status and also the challenge. There's one DevSecOps community in Singapore. It published the DevSecOps report every year since 2017. So now, the data I show here is mainly coming from this report. So from the recent reports, it shows like the DevSecOps activities mainly come from like the technology and the financial industry. Yeah, so it's for these two areas, it's cover like almost half of the DevSecOps activities, which means there's much demand of the DevSecOps from the technology and the financial industry. Okay, next one. This figure is very interesting. When I did DevOps before, many people ask me one questions. They ask me like, you guys put Dev and Ops together, So what's the most reasonable and the best number, the best ratio between the developer and the operations guy? So to be honest, there's no right answer for this. Yeah. And now, when I'm working on DevSecOps, people still ask me the same question, what's a reasonable and probably the best ratio between developer, operation, and the cybersecurity guy? Yeah, to be honest, I don't know the right answer. Yeah, and I don't believe there's a right answer. But in the reports, I think based on research, they give some reference. So here is the number they give to us. For example, if there are 100 developers, there are probably like 10 operations, and it is only one cybersecurity guy. Yeah, so it means like normally in the company, there are not too many cybersecurity people, or it means it's a lack of the cybersecurity people. The first time I saw this number, I'm trying to find the same situation in HSBC, and finally I found it's even worse number. So there are like 200 developers in HIBC with only one cybersecurity guy. So like 200 to 1. Yeah. So you can see like actually in HIBC we are lack of cybersecurity people. Yeah. So based on this, actually, I even have some thoughts myself. For like I'm probably thinking like when my kids grow up, I probably will ask him to learn cybersecurity. Yeah, probably to go to college to learn cybersecurity, because there are not many people working on this. Maybe it's easy to find a job. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah. Okay, so the next figure is also quite interesting. Actually, it's a show like many people believe cybersecurity is important, but it's probably only half of people do something. Yeah, people, it's still only like a based on the word, based on the talking. People only talk about the cybersecurity, but not many people working on that. To be honest, I think in the real world, in the practical work, the number probably is much even lower than this. Yeah. Okay. So this figure show like the most popular DevSecOps tools be used in the company, like a web application firewall, container, and image cybersecurity tools. Open source tools, I think currently it's become more and more popular. Yeah. Static application tools, this is mainly used for the source code, and also dynamic application tools. So later I will talk about tools in details, and I will share more information, how we use these tools to implement DevSecOps. Okay, the challenge, similar to DevOps, for DevSecOps, and feel it's probably even harder to implement DevSecOps. Yeah, because the cybersecurity is too far away from the business. It's too far away from the business. Yeah, sometimes before when I did DevOps, not too many people don't care about this, because people only care about delivery, the business delivery. But now even for DevSecOps, I think it's even harder for DevSecOps. Yeah. Okay, I think the challenge mainly comes from two areas. So one is the technical challenge. So because the DevSecOps is a very new concept, so far, there are not too many products available on the market. Yeah, it's not many tools or technologies for the DevSecOps on the market. Also, it's even for the existing tools or existing products for the DevSecOps, it's still not mature enough. For example, for the scanning results, the result is not accurate enough. So for this area, the technology or these tools are still not too much mature. Okay, this is technical challenge. But then based on my experience, the most challenge actually come from the people, come from the culture. What that mean? Most of the people, especially for the developer, many developers, they don't believe the cybersecurity is their job. They believe, the cybersecurity is a security department job. It's not that, for developer, they only need to focus on coding. Yeah, I think this it's a traditional way. People only believe, developer only working on the coding. But even for the people, who have this mindset already, for the developer, if they believe the cybersecurity is important, sometimes they found they probably don't have enough knowledge or skills to fix these vulnerabilities. Yeah, this is another problem. Also, another big problem, I think, currently for DevSecOps is from the senior management. Similar to the DevOps, when we try to promote the DevOps in the company, it's the best method is from top to down. It's from top to down. Yeah, if your senior management support DevOps, it will be easy, to implement or promote the DevOps across the whole company. Yeah, similar to DevSecOps, because again, many people, many senior management, they more care about the business delivery. So again, like I mentioned already, the cybersecurity is too far away from the business. So not too many senior management, they have the mindset, regarding, we need to focus on the cybersecurity. We need to introduce cybersecurity into our DevOps process. So, this is another key challenge, we need to convince the senior management first, and then will be easy to promote and implement the DevSecOps. Okay, so let's take one example from my example. Like I mentioned, I started to do the DevSecOps in 2018. I think probably in July or August. It's my first time to present, to share this DevSecOps in the senior management board in HIBC China. I talked to I think at the moment of the more than 20 senior management in the meeting and share with them the DevSecOps. I still remember, like 2 years ago, there's only one senior manager, he supported my idea. Yeah, 1 out of 20, only one supported my DevSecOps idea. Yeah, so it's our challenge. And later, after half a year, during the half a year, I try to do some pilots, to get some pilots to do the DevSecOps. And then we get some achievement from this pilot teams. And finally, as I remember, in January 2019, it's my second time to share this DevSecOps in the senior management teams. So at the moment, because we got some achievement already, yeah, and it's probably easy to convince the senior management. So I still remember at the moment, almost half of the senior management, they support my idea. They have interest in the DevSecOps. And later, this year, 2020, for the whole HIBC, the DevSecOps become the top one, high priority, the work for, people need to start to implement in their department. So you can see, gradually, we try to implement DevSecOps, and also the senior management is very important for the whole, DevSecOps implementation. Okay. Okay, next we'll probably talk about the DevSecOps tools, which is very important because for DevOps or DevSecOps, I still believe the first the step is to implement the tool first, and then probably the people and culture. Okay, for DevSecOps tools, it's normally we classify them into 4 different categories. The first one is the static application security testing tools, which means it's mainly focused on the source code. It scans the source code based on the rules and find the code don't follow these cybersecurity rules. Yeah, like SQL injection, something like that. For the second one is the dynamic application security testing tools. For these kind of tools, they try to follow the hacker behavior. So the hacker behavior try to attack your website, attack your interface, try to get something they want. For example, your username or password. Yeah. So this one is similar to your testing case. You need to produce some you need to produce some security testing case. Yeah, to simulate the hacker behavior. Okay, the third one is interactive applications security testing. This one is install some agent in your applications or use proxy. Yeah, when your application is running, they try to capture some data and try to do some analysis to see whether or not there's a vulnerabilities or threat in your application. Okay, the last one is for the open source security tools. So when we do the coding or when we try to release some products, we sometimes we need to introduce some third-party library, third-party tools, or third-party package or third-party plugin. So how we can guarantee this library or tools from third party they are security enough? Yeah, so this is the reason why we need this tool to scan for this kind of work. Okay, so let's talk about this tool in details. You can see from this figure, we try to measure the different tools from different angle. For the SAST, it's a static application security testing tool we call SAST. For the SAST, it's like the white box. Yeah, like I mentioned already, it is scan the source code. Yeah. So for this kind of tool, it's easy to discover the vulnerabilities, and also it's easy to track the source, like which line of code resulting in these vulnerabilities. Yeah, and also for this tool, it's easy to be accepted by the developer because it's a coding basis. Yeah, it's because it's mainly about source code. However, the disadvantage for this tool it has very high false positive rate. Yeah, so because this is a disadvantage, normally people have to spend time to review the results to see how accurate the result it is. Yeah, and this will result in much labor cost because people have to review this. Also, the scanning speed will become slower when your line of code is increased. Yeah, and finally, this tool it needs to support different language. Yeah, so also make it more complex. Okay, the next tool is we call DAST. Like I mentioned already, this is try to simulate the hacker behavior. Yeah, so it's black box. Yeah, and this tools has a large testing coverage and also be able to do the business vulnerability logic, the business logical scanning, and also it has lower false positive rate. Yeah, but the disadvantage for this tool is also it's also a lot because as I mentioned already, this is similar to your testing case. You need to produce your security testing case to simulate the hacker behavior. So this require the people, the professional cybersecurity knowledge and skills for you to be able to produce this security testing case. Yeah, so this is not easy, and also it's not easy because it's black box. It's not easy to discover the vulnerability source. So we know the problem, but we don't know why causes problem. Yeah, and finally, this tool also bring a lot of dirty data. So sometimes you have to clean the data in your database. Yeah. Okay, the next one is a interactive application security testing tool. We normally call AST. So this we call like green box. The before is white box, black box. This one called green box. So like I mentioned already, it's use some agent and proxy to analyze the data in the system. For this tool, it's also easy and fast to find your vulnerabilities. Yeah, and also it has very low false positive rates, and also easy to track the vulnerability source. The disadvantage for this tool is not that much. For example, like when the agent is upgraded or is updated, the web server also need to reboot. Yeah, so this will result in like the a bit higher the deployment cost. Also for the AST, so we can't do the business logical vulnerability scanning. So and try to share the tool, try to find more, what's the good for the tool and what's the negative thing for the tool. So people can you can compare the different tool to see which one is good for your scenario. Okay, here is the tools for the different tools available on the market. For the SAST, the most popular one, just based on my experience, is Checkmarx and Fortify. Also, we have the IBM AppScan. For the DAST and S, there's a tool called HP Web Inspect, and also there's one open source tool called OWASP. Contrast is the one S tool on the market. For the fourth tool, there's a one called Sonatype IQ Server, and another one called JFrog Extreme. I didn't list here. There's one called Dependency Check, which is an open source tool from OWASP. Okay, and for this cybersecurity, the DevSecOps tools currently is mainly focused on the two stage. So like the SAST and the FOSS tool mainly focus on the coding stage. Yeah, one for the source code, one for the third party, like whatever library or these tools. And for the DAST and S, it's mainly focused on the testing stage. Yeah, like I mentioned already, is try to produce a security testing case to simulate hacker behavior, or you use the agent and the proxy, to capture the data to analyze the vulnerabilities. Okay, finally, I'm probably share how we implement the DevSecOps in HSBC, and also how we establish the culture over there. So before we talk about more background, the challenge and also tools. Now let's see some example, some keys. Okay, firstly, we set up some model, for the DevSecOps. The one we call is called implementation model. It's quite easy. The first phase is to implement the cybersecurity tools. So like we mentioned before, the tools we mentioned before, we introduce some tools like Checkmarx, Sonatype IQ Server, try to integrate these tools into our CICD pipeline to automate the process. Yeah, for any tool we introduce here, all of them need to be automated. Yeah, and for developer and tester, they only see the result. They only see the dashboard or the result from dashboard or the reports. The second phase, we try to provide some training for people to to establish the mindset, establish the knowledge. Yeah, so we use 3 different methods, like there's a study material in the tools, and also we also provide some online training course and online training games called Security Code Warrior. I will talk about this later. And also the cybersecurity department provide the cybersecurity like consultancy to help the team to use the tools and also try to fix the bugs. And finally, by using the tools to discover the vulnerabilities, and by providing training, for people to have enough knowledge to fix the vulnerabilities. Yeah, we try to, and then we try to, to set up, produce some kind of cybersecurity experts, or we call cybersecurity champion in the team. Yeah. So this is the implementation model, and the final goal is try to produce some cybersecurity champion or cybersecurity expert. Okay, how we do this? Yeah, so we have different role in this model. So the DevSecOps champion, this role we try to bring the cybersecurity department and the development team together, and to just one word, like try to make this happen. Yeah, try to make this happen. Similar to the project manager, just make it happen. Yeah, and for the cybersecurity team, on the right, like I mentioned before, they provide the tools, they provide the training, and they also provide the consultancy, try to help the development teams, to get this DevSecOps skills. And finally, the development teams, when they try to use the tools, when they try to get the training, yeah, in their projects, in the real project. So with the time, so they try, I think they get used about this the DevSecOps concept. So this is the whole model. We try to make it happen, make the DevSecOps happen in the HIBC. Okay, so this is one example. Like I mentioned before, we need to integrate the DevSecOps tools into our CICD pipeline to automate the process. So here's one example. We integrate the check marks, which is one SAST tool, into Jenkins to automate the process. The first step, you need to install a checkmarks Jenkins plugin. Yeah. So once you install the plugin, there's two different methods you can automate the process. One, or use the traditional way, the free scale jobs. But once you install the plugin, you can find that there's one additional tab in the build section called executive checkmark scan. You select this option, and then you fill the form. You configure this form by input like the checkmark server URL, the credential information, and also your source code location, something like that. And then when you finish the configuration, you can trigger this job. Yeah. Another way you can use what they call like pipeline as a code. So use this code, to configure the whole process. Yeah. So there's two different ways, is same. Finally, we'll trigger this job. We'll trigger this pipeline. You can see it will scan the code. Yeah, it will trigger the check mark to scan the code, and finally it produces a report similar to the figure on the right, the bottom right. You can see, they will find the vulnerabilities from different level. Okay. So next one is a tool we used before called check marks. On the top, you can see that one figure. It classifies the vulnerabilities into three different categories, like high-level vulnerabilities, medium-level vulnerabilities, and the low-level vulnerabilities. So normally, the rules we deal with the different vulnerabilities is if you have any high-level vulnerabilities, you need to fix this before you release to the production. Yeah. So before you release to production, you have to fix all high-level vulnerabilities. Yeah. No argument. Yeah, that's all of them. And also for the media-level vulnerabilities, we normally give team a certain time, for example, like 1 month. Yeah. So you can release to the production, but within 1 month, you have to fix all these media-level vulnerabilities. Okay. And for the low-level vulnerabilities, we normally, consider this as a technical debt, the technical debt. So which means, when you have time, when you have free resource, then you can start to reduce this low level vulnerabilities. Yeah. Okay, and on the left of it, you can see another figure, which means, from these two, you can easily to find which line of code, which line of your code, resulting in these vulnerabilities. So I think it's very good too. You can track the source of these vulnerabilities. Okay, similar, another tool called Sonatype Echo Server. This is for the third-party, open source, the open source tool scan. So it's also similar to classify this vulnerabilities into 3 different categories, and also it even scan the license, to see whether or not it's out of date. Okay, so these are 2 tools like check marks and Sonatype Echo Server. We use in HIBC at the coding stage, and also for the source code, and also for this third party library and tools. So here are some training we provided for the people. The first one is the study tutorial in the tools. For example, in the check marks. So for this example, if you click on the question mark, it will show you some information. For example, like what's the risk for these vulnerabilities and what causes vulnerabilities, and even it gives you some example how you fix these vulnerabilities. Yeah. So I think this study material from tools is very useful for developer. When they scan their code, when they found their vulnerabilities, then they just need to follow the example to easily fix the vulnerabilities. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. We also provide some online training course for the DevSecOps training. As I remember, we had, I think, more than 50 courses. Yeah, and it's for different roles, like for example, for business analysts, for developers, for architect, for tester, something like that. And also it had different level of the courses. Yeah, so people can learn the knowledge, not the DevSecOps knowledge from this online training course. Also, we provide another online training platform called Security Code Warrior. This is very quite interesting tools. It's try to how to say, produce a story, produce a story, and then behind the story, it's try to teach you and let you to learn the cybersecurity knowledge. For example, in this case, it show like there's some hacker from Brazil try to attack the people or server in the UK, and under this story, the hacker probably goes through this from some code, and then you ask you to say what's the vulnerability from this code, and you can see on the left that there are some options you can select. So by using this platform, I think probably it's easy, and also it's not boring for people to learn this cybersecurity. Okay. Before we talk about tools, we talk about this the online training courses. This is for the people to learn these skills. In order to establish the culture in the company for people to have more awareness about the cybersecurity, we also produce some like events, like this security coding competition. Yeah. So we launched this in India office and also in China office last year. Yeah. So the whole purpose is for people to have strong awareness about cybersecurity. Yeah. As I remember last year, as I remember, we have more than 100 developers to join this game. Yeah, and try to to answer the questions to I think the based on this platform. Yeah. And you try to answer more questions and to get high mark to win the game. Okay, so finally, this is our maturity model. What does it mean? Before, I'm not sure you still remember, I'll show you one example why we need DevSecOps. Do you still remember, There's, the traditional way, DevOps way, and DevSecOps way. Why we need DevSecOps. But finally, we need to get benefit for the teams by further reduce this cybersecurity assessment, right? So how we do this? Before we talk about, we introduce tools to find the vulnerabilities. We provide training for people to have enough knowledge and skills to fix the vulnerabilities, right? At coding and testing stage. But how we can reduce the cybersecurity assessment? Yeah, if you don't reduce this period, people don't get benefit from this, right? So this is the reason why we need this DevSecOps maturity model. So here is just one simple example I show here. Actually, the document for this maturity model, as I remember, is more than 30 pages. Yeah, it has very much detailed information in documents to show, which level, for example, level 1, which condition you need to meet, level 2, which condition you meet. Here, I just give you one simple example, to show how you meet the different level. Yeah. So normally, this is how we run this DevSecOps, the whole DevSecOps scheme in the HIBC. Like I mentioned already, we provide the tools, we provide training, yeah, for people to get knowledge. Yeah. So how we define our DevSecOps teams? Yeah. So if your team is measured to become a DevSecOps teams, then the cybersecurity teams will reduce the cybersecurity assessment, probably like, for example, from 5 days, from 1 week, like 5 working days to 2 working days or 3 working days, because they believe you have done some cybersecurity job in the coding and testing area, so they can trust you, then they don't have to do too much work at cybersecurity assessment. Yeah. So how we measure, your maturity model? So normally, we have 2 conditions for a team to be defined as a DevSecOps team. So one condition is all the people in the team, they need to pass level 1. They need to pass level 1 for all the people. So which means all the developers, all the testers, they need to study the fundamental cybersecurity knowledge, or they need to know how to use the cybersecurity tools at fundamental level. Yeah. So if they have this basic level, when they coding, which is produce a code, I think they will have more awareness, to avoid these vulnerabilities, and also when they try to when they use the tool to find vulnerabilities, at least they have the basic level to fix the vulnerabilities. So the first condition requires all the people in the team, they need to have these fundamental skills. Okay, this is condition number 1. The second condition is at least in the team at least you need to have at least one people need to pass level 3, which means you need to have at least one people to be recognized as cybersecurity champion or cybersecurity expert in your team. So this guy, when the team found vulnerabilities and other people can't fix these vulnerabilities, so is this guy's job to help team to fix these vulnerabilities, yeah, to become the expert in the team, right? So if you meet these 2 conditions, all the people pass level 1, at least one guy pass level 3, then we recognize your team is a DevSecOps team. So if you are recognized as a DevSecOps team, and based on your level, your maturity level, the cybersecurity department or cybersecurity team will reduce, the cybersecurity assessment I mentioned before. This in the example, this is 1 week cybersecurity assessment. This will be reduced based on your maturity model. Yeah. So based on your maturity level. Yeah. So okay. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So this is how it works, in HIBC. So like I mentioned, we introduce tools to find the vulnerabilities. We provide training for people to have enough skills and knowledge to fix the vulnerabilities, and also to produce experts in the team. Finally, we use this maturity model to measure your team. So all the people in the team, they need to pass level 1. At least one people need to pass level 3. So once you've done this, we recognize you are a DevSecOps team. Yeah, and also based on your DevSecOps maturity level, the cybersecurity department will try to reduce the cybersecurity assessment period. Yeah, even probably to 0 days to make it faster. Yeah. So I hope you understand the logic behind this. This is how we implement DevSecOps and how to get people, to benefit from this. Okay. I think that's all my presentations. Hope you learn something from this. And if you have any questions, free to ask me. Okay. Thank you.